So we've been putting off this video for a long time, but we're finally making a Who is Headstart Running video.
Who is Headstart Running?
I don't wanna worry about nothing for a while. Just wanna play around like a child with old tunes jamming on my Walkman. Sour Patch Kids and a Coke can. I don't wanna worry about nothing for a while. I just wanna play around, living like a child with old tunes jamming on my Walkman. Some Sour Patch Kids and a Coke can.
I just want to start with the name. I mean, really, we were two kids, freshmen, right? And it was the summer heading into freshman year.
Was it?
No, it was summer heading
sophomore.
into 10th grade.
Sophomore, yeah.
It was a summer heading into 10th grade. We ran for Ward Melville for 1 year. Anthony did cross country and then track. I started in winter track, and that's how we really became close.
Yeah, you weren't even a cross country guy.
I didn't even do cross country that year. Then that summer we were like, okay, we just want to start an Instagram for like running because that's something we like. And we had a vision to like make it into some sort of a business. We weren't sure if we wanted to like open a gym one day or open like a training service, but we still had, so while we were like brainstorming like, oh, what are we gonna call this like whole like business / social media thing, we were like, okay, we're getting a head start on everyone since we're like so young and we didn't know what else to name it, so we were like Headstart Running, and that's where it all began. Yeah, so let's talk about our running career.
So I started running in middle school, Murphy. 7th grade I did cross country, and I don't really know when I knew I wanted to run. It was just sort of always I was just compelled to the sport basically. And my first year in cross country, I wasn't very good, but I could tell from that first season and the first race that it was just something that I wanted to continue doing, and I loved it.
I never did cross country in middle school, but I met this guy through track and through mutual friends. And yeah, I just tried to run with him. He was always the best distance guy from our middle school. We never got pulled up in 8th grade for varsity like our friend Andrew did, but we were still pretty good distance runners. He was always the better one. He ran the mile, I ran the 800, but yeah, so that's how it all started in middle school, and then we really got closer in ninth grade.
Yeah.
So 9th grade, it's a tricky thing for us.
Did you do cross country in 9th grade?
I didn't, no. Not in 9th grade.
That's so long ago.
Yes, our schools are weird where our 9th grade isn't at the high school, so we have to get bused from our middle schools to the high school for sports in 9th grade. And so we were both on the junior varsity track team.
This was the first time we had the opportunity to do winter track. And I did cross country freshman year. We got bused up to the high school. Como wasn't a runner yet. But then that season went great, all was well and everything. But then winter track, that's when Como finally joined, and that's where we really became close friends.
All right, story time. First run. So this was like something I vividly remember from my early days running Ward Melville track. It was the first day, so I was a middle distance guy. 800 meters was like the longest event I'd ever done. So, you know, middle school practices are a joke, right? You run a few laps around some cones and
Just
then
like
you do some
get
sprints.
Get you interested.
Yeah, it gets you interested in the sport. I come up to the high school as a distance runner, because mid-distance is technically distance, and coach is like, oh, you guys are running the Port Jeff Loop the first day. So this Port Jeff Loop is like this hilly 5-mile like soul crusher for like young kids.
At the time, it was literally hell on earth. It was so
I heard
bad.
5 miles and I was like, oh, it's like that.
Yeah, because at the time, the longest run from like that you do in middle school is maybe like 2.5.
2.5. Like, that's at absolute most.
It's not long.
And then from the high school, it just gets a lot harder. And that first day, I was just so dead. And Anthony, he was running cross country. He was getting used to it, because he ran cross country. So he was like trying to help me through that first day.
I definitely knew what to expect at that point.
And so he was like, he just kept on saying to me like, pain isn't real, like don't worry about it. I kept on like, oh, I'm gonna drop out, but I ended up finishing running all the way through it. It was
the
not
thing
easy,
is though,
but...
is that like, it was me. It must have been. Was Fletcher with us at that point?
Yeah, Fletcher, our friend Fletcher was with us at that point.
It must have been like us three. Me and Fletcher did cross country, so we were in shape already. He didn't run, but somehow he managed to stay with us. So
Barely.
natural runner. I mean,
barely.
it worked out.
First day
It
wasn't
hurt.
all out effort.
But that was definitely one of my favorite runs. I remember that so well.
So that was our intro, our rugged intro to freshman year. And then spring was pretty uneventful as well until the end. So we have, at the end of every season for distance runners, we have the mile PR day. Anthony and I haven't broken 5 in the mile.
I did.
Oh, you broke 5 in the mile.
No,
He already broke 5.
So basically what happened is, it was basically, as a freshman, it was one of my main goals. If you break 5 in a mile as a freshman, you have so much clout. And I remember crossing the finish line, I looked directly at my coach, he said, "You did it," and it was like the happiest moment of my life. Now tell your story.
Yeah, I was watching that race. I remember timing that race, telling him he could do it, and then he did. I don't think I was running that day for whatever reason, but then at the end of the season, you know, we had one last unofficial shot at our track. It wasn't an official meet or anything. It was just our coach with a stopwatch. Me, Mincy, and I think a couple other guys. We went out and we broke 5, and it was a great feeling, just, you know, seeing 4:57 on the stopwatch, and my coach was just very proud, and it was a big milestone. Breaking 5 is always a big milestone for any runner. Heading into that cross country season. So this is my first year of cross country.
Oh,
Anthony's
God.
like, okay, do cross country, you did well on track. And I'm like, all right, sure, let's do this. Let's see how this goes. I think I placed 8th at the Frostshoff County meet. We actually ended up winning it as a sophomore team, which was really awesome.
That's the first time I ever thought to myself, like, damn, this sport is my purpose. Like, I love this sport more than anything else. Just because we won that meet together. That
To this day is probably still the toughest race I've ever ran. So winter was going pretty well for both of us. I remember. I don't remember our exact times, but no crazy PRs, I'd imagine.
Just kind of being consistent.
Just being consistent, you know, running at the Armory. We live so close to New York City, so yeah, we run well. But that season is really, at the end of that, in February, I ended up breaking my ankle playing ice hockey.
Oh, God.
That was not fun at all.
I remember, I didn't know about it.
I had to get surgery for it. I still have the metal pin in my ankle. It was disappointing for me because from there, that spring season was really where Anthony started to progress in his running career.
That spring season, I remember, that's where I went from a 4:57 to a 4:37. And that, in the end, that was too much for my body, and I ended up getting injured, but I'll go into that later.
It was disappointing, but I was definitely just so proud to see like my best friend run 2:05, which is a 6-second PR for him in the 800, being one of the best sophomore runners in the county for the mile and the 800.
It was definitely, that was one of the seasons that I'm most proud of.
Yeah, so 10th grade was kind of bad for me, but very good for Anthony. New setting.
You got a tempo?
Practice time.
Yeah.
Practice time.
Not for you though.
What do you mean? I'm going to practice. The girls' team has arrived. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. All right, so we're the biggest supporters of...
Last time we were supposed to be some voicers for like the time trial, but then Robbie didn't know how to use the camera and deleted our part. I'm Julia Bell.
I'm Caitlin Giordano.
Yay, Headstart Running! Lexi Bell.
Nice.
And we support Headstart Running.
And we'll be back in the next video once we have our merch.
Nice.
Yeah.
And they don't miss me.
She's trying to fly the drone.
We'll just start.
All right,
If you see me look down every now and then, you know what I'm doing.
we're here at the track. It's a new day. Yesterday it got really rainy. We couldn't really finish. We were gonna be late for practice.
Yeah.
So we ended at the end of 10th grade where Anthony had a breakout season and I broke my ankle and it sucked. But that summer I finally recovered, and you know, that summer training, I feel like for us, I took it definitely a lot more seriously. I kind of had a chip on my shoulder because, you know, Anthony and I were neck and neck in winter. In spring, we kind of just, we went our own ways. I broke my ankle, he went off to run really fast times, and I felt like I could run that too. So that summer I trained a lot.
This was the summer that my Achilles got fucked. I had a breakout season in the spring, and that pushed my body.
Is there something you want to say to the camera, James? Hey, we're coming back. Don't worry.
Okay, yeah, so basically I had a breakout season during the spring. Like, I ran my fastest mile ever. Go away from the camera. I ran my fastest mile ever. Jonah wasn't there. He obliterated his ankle. Me running, taking that jump and running the 2:05, the 4:37, running that quickly, that fast, it took a toll on my body, and both of my Achilles basically had extreme tendonitis, and I remember the last 800 that I ran at state quals during the spring track season. I was thinking to myself when I was warming up and doing my strides, I was like, if I make it through this race, that's going to be a miracle, because I really think my Achilles are going to go right now. Led to an entire summer of recovering. Usually what we do is we take 2 weeks off, a week and a half off, no running before we decide to jump back into summer training. I had to take the entire summer off. I didn't get back into running until maybe the last week in August.
That cross-country season. So, as you can recall, I have a bit of a chip on my shoulder. I haven't really ran to what I think I can run. So that cross-country season is really big for me personally, because I'm like, okay, let's really see what we can do. I put in a lot of work this summer. Anthony wasn't as fortunate with his health, but you know, I was having a good summer. Let's really see how fast I can really run. And you know, cross country hasn't necessarily been my season. Like, I didn't do it freshman year, I didn't do it in middle school. I tried it in 10th grade. I liked it in 10th grade, but you know, I was always more of a track person. So that summer, I actually remember, just little before we go right into the cross country season, we as a team were really determined to get to states for cross country. You know, it could have went a lot better than it. State quals, our team ends up placing 4th. All right, winter track. So obviously, you know, we had a lot of leftover ambition from cross country. This was the season before everything went to poop with quarantine. We had a lot of goals. Like, I remember one of them was to go to states for the 4x8, to go to nationals for a DMR or a 4x8. We have like one more meet left in the season, which is the St. Anthony's Invite. We really wanted to run a fast 4x8. We have high hopes. We're like, we can win this. We had this one meet just to see what we can run. We ended up placing 2nd at that meet. You gotta value progress over like that perfection.
You gotta take baby steps, not giant leaps. Oh God, okay.
He nearly got that, actually. That was kind of impressive. Coronavirus happened.
For me, I didn't stop training. I hated every second of running by myself. Every time I went on a run, I would press stop, and then the only thing on my mind for 24 hours later into the next day was, oh God, I have to do that again.
Same thing happened to me basically. At the beginning of quarantine, I was like, all right, we got this. Like, we still have to train. Like, I still want to run really fast. Like, even though I have nobody to train with, I have, you know, DeLuca stopped giving us training at one point. We kind of were just training on our own. You know, we have to keep the ball moving. It was not that easy. It just fell apart for me personally, and school got on top of me, and I had to stop training like midway through May.
I ended up running the fastest mile that I have in over a year, and I ran a 4:33.
Oh my God, it's Andrew right here. So this is Andrew. I promise all of our videos won't be this sit down, talk, and kind of a little bit more boring-ish.
This is just our running story. This is for us. Like, we feel the need to kind of tell our story.
Definitely, yeah, just so you guys know who we are. We got a lot coming up. If you follow this channel, there's a lot of cool stuff that we're doing in this upcoming year or two.
We just released some nice merch. A lot of people bought that, so I mean, thank you to everyone that bought that.
So stay tuned. Our final year, heading into senior year.
Big question at the beginning of the summer was, how many days do we want to have practice, and what times do we want to have practice? This year we decided to go every day practice.
We had a very small group of guys that we were seeing consistently, so it wasn't like this big gathering every day. It was really just 6, 7, 8 guys. We were very eager to train
and race in the fall. Sadly, the fall season got canceled, but it didn't really matter.
June and July were really just consistent mileage. Over quarantine, I realized that you're running against yourself. It's a race against time. I just always had in my mind that whatever happened, like, we could set up a 5K literally on this track and just run it.
Which we did several times. For me, when we kind of heard that we weren't gonna have a fall season, we've already done that before. We've experienced having a season getting taken away from us. We just kind of dove right into it. Let's make the best out of this. I really did feel like us as captains kind of took a stand and went from athletes and sort of switched over to coaches in a way.
We were definitely coaches of the team. Coach couldn't be there, so
yeah, it was just,
we were giving out the training plans, we were leading warm-ups without any coach. Every single question that kids would come up with, they'd bring them to us because there was no coach.
I realized this season that coaching and being that type of influence leader, that's my passion. Like, I feel like I was put on this earth for that.
From captains to coaches was really the theme of that summer. Even still, we have unofficial practices Monday and Friday, but the rest of the week we are technically the coaches of our own team. At this point, we're really just racing for time. We're racing to see how fast we can run a 5K. We set up this 5K on the track. We're just gonna go all out. We wanna go sub 17, which none of us have ever done before on a flat course. I think it's around September. We're like, let's really race a 5K like we've never ran it before. Because I know previously, before this race, I've never really like died in a 5. We shatter all of our expectations. We end up running, insert the times here, 16:20 something, 16:30 something. We've basically still been training. That's basically here.
We're in the present now. We got a lot of big stuff coming up. We're not gonna give too much away. We're going places.
Daily Instagram posts starting next week. We really wanna, you know, spread our audience and just get out there and, you know, see what we can do with this whole channel and just have fun while doing it. Thank you guys for watching. Oh
God.
Yeah, so more content coming soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you watch this video, leave a like if you want, maybe subscribe or comment. It would be much appreciated. Go check out our Instagram. See ya.